Episode 10 of Rumble Garanndoll is once again another slow episode. Regardless of the reasoning, it's pretty evident that they're stalling for the final 2 episodes. I'm more forgiving to the show since I do like it, but when you take a step back and look at these last 5 episodes, it's all poorly paced and feels like each episode is composed of 2 halves. One half is all padding and pointless talking, and the second half is actual plot important stuff. And I'm not complaining about how there's no mech fights or action. My problem is that all the important scenes in these last 5 episodes are all just character development and world building. Now before you dislike this video, the reason why I think this is bad is because they completely stopped moving the plot forward. Character development and world building is nice, but when nothing in the world is progressing, then really, what's the point? There's a fine balance to having character development, world building, and plot progression. Those 3 things need to be paced properly to tell a good story. You really can't do one without the other, or else holes will start showing. In the case of Rumble Garanndoll, they completely left behind plot progression. Episodes 7 and 8 did move the plot a bit with the introduction of Vodcast, but those could have easily been combined into one episode, and her introduction never fully affected the overall plot. She's a side character now with barely any lines. To me, the overall plot for the show is the rebels against the true army and liberating their Japan. Has the status quo ever changed since the show started? No, it hasn't, despite what the characters say in this episode. Mimi mentions how they've gotten so far, but really think about it. What have they done to the true army to loosen their grip on their Japan? Really nothing, except for minor squabbles where they retreat and lose face, I guess. I'm all for character-driven narratives, but the problem is the show isn't presented that way. They're trying to tell a big-scale story, but are focusing on interpersonal drama instead. I know it's not fair to compare this to better shows with tons of episodes, like Zeta Gundam or even any of the Macross shows, but those shows knew when to move the plot forward, when to stop for a bit to develop the characters, and so forth. What I'm trying to say is that those shows were paced properly, and knew when to focus on characters, plot, and world building. All this to say, I'm not turning on the show. I still enjoy watching it, and even the pointless padding is fine to me. I just wanted to take off my fanboy glasses and give the show a proper review. Since fan or not, having 5 straight poorly paced episodes with virtually 0 plot progression is unacceptable. The most plot progression we get is the middle of this week's episode. The true army is gonna nuke Akibahara using the archives of confiscated goods, which is honestly clever writing. Killing them using what they love is great ironic death. Another bit of clever writing is the backstory of Hosamichi. We finally learn of his lack of motivations. His dad was the original writer and producer of The Burn, the show Rin loves. He also had a hand in making the game Vodcast loves, and being a part of the team that supported the idol Yuki loves. A bit cliche and cheap to tie it all in like that, but I do like the twist they put on it. Hosamichi's dad was a workaholic, and he left his family for dead just to work on these projects. He even took money meant for his dying wife to keep working, since shows like The Burn ended up being a flop. Hosamichi blames him for his mom's death and sees the message of hope and friendship in The Burn to be hypocrisy, since the original creator was such a terrible person. This is actually really good writing, and I love how they added this genius twist. In any other show, they would play it straight and reveal that Hosamichi's dad was the creator, but then he tragically died, and Hosamichi got scarred because of that. But no, in this show, it's because his dad was a terrible human being, and Hosamichi resents him for choosing work over his actual family. I'm so impressed by this because it's so dark and kinda messed up for a show that's mostly lighthearted. Now with that said, I'm still pretty conflicted with this show. When the writing is good, it's really good, but the pacing and plot progression is so non-existent that I can't help but feel that it does take away from these great moments. Hosamichi's past is great, but it should have come earlier to keep the viewers engaged and give it more time to breathe. You drop this heavy backstory and there's only 2 episodes left. Anyways guys, I'll end it here or else I'll keep talking in circles. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. Interested to see if I'm alone in thinking that this show is good, but has major problems with its storytelling.